Fragile pause in the Middle East firestorm. The US and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire, brokered by Pakistan, just before escalation deadlines. The Strait of Hormuz reopens under Iranian oversight, calming global markets. Tehran advances its 10-point peace plan for talks in Islamabad, yet tension persists. Israel backs the truce with Iran, but explicitly excludes Lebanon, where strikes continue, defying the ceasefire's spirit. Regional powers welcome this breath of diplomacy, but skepticism runs deep. Is this a genuine path to peace or merely a tactical pause before the next escalation? Let us continue our special coverage for the most recent updates concerning this global escalation crisis. I'm Henny Saif. Stay tuned. Washington and Tehran have brokered a vital 2-week ceasefire. This diplomatic breakthrough pauses recent hostilities, providing a crucial window for high-level dialogue and signaling a shift towards regional de-escalation. Key to this agreement is reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Restoring access to this global energy artery will stabilize oil markets and secure international trade routes during this delicate transition. While short, this truce serves as a fragile test for peace. It offers a rare opportunity to transform a temporary pause into a lasting framework for Middle Eastern stability. Israeli politics faces a major storm today. The opposition leader strongly rejected Prime Minister Netanyahu's backing of the US-Iran truce, branding it a disastrous strategic collapse. Critics claim this agreement empowers rivals while undermining national safety. They view the government's move as a risky gamble that sacrifices long-term interests for temporary quiet. This internal friction reveals fractured leadership. Such domestic tension might hinder broader peace efforts across our volatile region during this sensitive transition. Tehran and Beijing are leveraging the Strait of Hormuz to challenge the US dollar's global grip. By trading energy in local currencies, they aim to weaken Western financial control and reshape world markets. This bold move transforms the vital waterway into a stage for economic defiance. It signals a major shift as China seeks to replace the greenback with its own currency in massive oil deals. This de-dollarization marks a historic turning point. It forces a rethink of global trade rules as the East builds an independent financial future beyond traditional Western systems. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrives in our region tonight. This urgent trip follows the new agreement, showing London's desire to help lead the diplomatic efforts. Starmer aims to prove Britain's independent role. By meeting local leaders, he hopes to protect trade while distancing the UK from any future military strikes in the neighbourhood. This visit is crucial. It shows that global powers are finally united in making this temporary peace a permanent reality for us all.
The impact of this war will affect the future of our country.
Tehran's leadership is deeply split over the recent ceasefire. While politicians seek urgent economic relief, powerful military factions view this truce as a tactical pause rather than a path towards peace. This internal friction poses a direct threat to the Strait of Hormuz. Any sudden move by radical elements could break the deal and trigger a new wave of regional chaos. The region must watch these domestic shifts closely. Success depends on whether the Iranian state can finally restrain its military wings to protect global energy flow. For a better understanding, we're joined from Virginia by Mr. James Moran, the former US congressman, and from Paris by Mr. Ali Zriq, the political analyst. Gentlemen, welcome to our special coverage here on Q News. Mr. Moran, does this two-week truce reflect a genuine US strategic recalibration, or is it merely a tactical pause before escalation?
It's more than a tactical pause. President Trump wants to be out of this. It didn't go as he had planned. It took longer. He got scared because the United States stock market tumbled so far. And he decided, and he said this publicly, that he was bored with this war and that he wanted to move on. He doesn't want to get involved in Iran in any kind of a way that's intractable. He wants to declare an early victory. I think this is going to be his victory. He's going to say this is up now to Europe if they want to be involved, but primarily the Middle Eastern region to work it out with the Strait. He'll say that he has achieved peace, and the U.S. can now withdraw. I think it's going to be more difficult than that, but he feels triumphant, as does Bibi Netanyahu. They feel that they achieved their objectives. Mr. Trump's objectives were relatively short term. Mr. Netanyahu feels that his objectives are much longer term. But today is a triumphant day. And I think you're going to hear a lot of that triumphalism from the White House in Washington. They're going to call this a triumph of the Western world, et cetera. It's much less than that, but it is a victory for Mr. Trump. And I think he wants to turn his back on Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and these kinds of inherent conflicts in the Middle East, and move forward politically in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Zriq, what do you make of the European Union's welcoming of this truce? Does it reflect confidence? How do you view as well Prime Minister Keir Starmer really backing diplomatic solutions?
Okay, thank you for the invitation, first of all. Yes, this truce opened doors for diplomatic, let's say, talks between all these sides from USA and Iran and the resistance axis. For that, yes, for Europe, it will be a big hope because Europe now can feel that they have a power with this new open door, because in the past was clearly only behind the USA, behind President Trump. Today, when you see clearly during this war, the first time from decades, we can see Europeans are not joining President Trump for this USA for this war. Even NATO refused to join USA in this war, and that's why with this truce. It gives a open door for Europe to come back to the political and to the diplomatical, let's say, situation in this area. And then this will give some power to Europe because they lost a lot since while, and since this as well, this war of Ukraine, Russia, and Ukraine. So that's why, yes, UK are happy as well to be part of this negotiation, to open diplomatic ways for all belligerent. That's why everybody is welcoming this action clearly.
Mr. Moran, how does President Trump's 15-point proposal align with the congressional oversight on Iran's nuclear file? How influential has been the concern of the Congress regarding this war, influential in terms of the 2-week ceasefire?
The U.S. Congress has had no influence over this conflict. They've been silent. The Democratic Party, of course, has spoken out, but they have no power. They're in the minority in both the House and the Senate. And the Republicans simply defer to President Trump. They either truthfully follow him, which a few do. Most of them are afraid of him. And so there's been no oversight. There has been no authorization for this conflict. The U.S. Congress has been marginalized. And as a result, while their opinion may be interesting to some people, it's only an opinion. They have ceded their power to the executive branch. So I don't think many people really care what the members of Congress say today, because they weren't part of starting it, and they're certainly not part of ending it.
Mm-hmm. Do they have any sort of opinion regarding the 15-point proposal?
Honey, I don't think they have. I don't think most of them have even read the 15-point proposal, because they know they have no power to change it. Mm-hmm. This has been entirely an executive branch operation. And there are a few people on the foreign affairs committees that follow this and speak out, but they don't have any power. All of the power has been ceded to the executive branch, and President Trump doesn't listen to the Republicans in Congress for the most part, unless he needs them to give him more money, particularly for his military. The Congress is going to have to reassert itself. I don't think it's going to be able to under this president, but it affects U.S. society, its economy, and obviously its politics. I think that this November, you're going to see some major changes. And if the Democratic Party controls the House of Representatives, then the Congress may start to matter. They really don't matter today, unfortunately.
Mr. Zariq, how does Iran's 10-point plan challenge the traditional Western diplomatic frameworks in the Middle East?
Well, really, it's these 10 points are really interesting for Iran, first of all, because since let's say for the first time, it will give to Iran, for example, to have full control on Hormuz Strait and against money, and in the past wasn't like that. With that, yes, it will give to Iran much more power for the future. They can use this as well the money for make reconstruction. But in the meantime, yes, it is a big challenge to realize these 10 points. But I guess if President Trump has agreed to start the talks with these 10 points, that yes, we have a chance to have them to settle an agreement between all parties. But for that as well, yes, the Europeans today are happy, for example, to have, let's say, some of the ship crossing the Strait of Hormuz since days without any stop from Iran, because the declaration of European countries like France, Germany, and even Spain to refuse that weapon going from Europe to this region of Iran, and this gave hopes for the European and for Iran as well to have let's say peaceful let's say exchanges between all countries. And yes, in the meantime, this is a big challenge to settle definitely, because we have a lot of actors in this field, a lot of actors to give a point of view and to negotiate, let's say, a long-term peace on this area. And the most important one is really to close definitely this war file in the future. This will be very difficult, because if you see, for example, the goals when this war has been started from USA is to really to shut down the regime, and Israel joining this plan, and to establish greater Israel. Now this plan, this let's say this project has been killed, let's say, and no one can start it again. So we can see clearly that Israel didn't want at that point either for regime is staying alive, and now we can see the people around this government where they have big resistance and good resilience. So they are there. They're standing up, and for that point, yes, will be challenging all parties to make it real. But I'm fully confident that we can arrive for these 10 points. It will take a while. From my side, from my opinion, is much more than 2 weeks. Will be needed to close it and to settle
Yes, well,
definitely.
do you think that the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz under Iranian oversight, do you think that that would truly stabilize global energy markets on the short term at least?
Yes, why not? Why not? Because if you see Iran since for 40 years, let's say, they never made any aggression against any of their neighbors from the beginning. The first war had been started by Iraq against Iran, but this war has been as well initiated by Gulf countries and by USA and Europe, and Iran was only defending their position. Today, yes, Iran can stabilize the situation, because they are trying since a while to make let's say a big let's say big agreement between all the Gulf countries to control this area, and they are respectful of their neighbors, and they are trying hardly to establish a peace with everyone. And even with USA, they have been negotiating with USA before starting before this war. So this is for several years they have been as well discussion this agreement with Europe and USA before Mr. Trump had cancelled the agreement between USA and Iran. So that's why Iran, yes, they respect the power that they want, and they respect the agreement. And I believe that they are very serious when they told the neighbors that yes, let's make a kind of union here to stabilize the region and this area.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in that deeply, yes.
Mr. Moran, why did Israel exclude Lebanon from that ceasefire? Where does the U.S. stand regarding that exclusion? Does it affect the U.S. credibility in any way?
It's a good question, honey. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on, frankly, this morning. Israel is still intent on achieving a greater Israel. Having a certain amount of hegemony over the region, having a much larger land expanse. They intend to control all of Gaza. They think they're going to be able to control most of the West Bank and southern Lebanon. I think that they have their eyes on southern Lebanon. They're going to treat it almost in the way that they treat Gaza, because they see Hezbollah as an existential threat. I don't think that's the case any longer with the defeat of Iran, frankly. But Israel wants to be able to do what it wants to do without U.S. interference. And I think that's part of the, I don't know whether it's a spoken agreement, but it's at least a tacit agreement between Mr. Trump and Mr. Netanyahu. And Mr. Trump has let Mr. Netanyahu do pretty much what he wanted. And of course, he does pretty much what the right wing of his government, Mr. Gavir, Smotrich, and the rest of them want to do. And that is to expand both the physical presence of Israel, but also the political and military influence over the entire region. And so Israel wants southern Lebanon, and they may just very well take it.
Mr. Zariq, is the de-dollarization push via Hormuz a symbolic gesture, or do you feel that it's the beginning of a structural threat to Western finance?
Let's say this a new situation, and this will not help USA to establish, let's say, the dollar again worldwide. This yes, we if you from USA side, it can be let's say it can be seen like a threat for the USA economy, but in the meantime, yes, this it is what it is. I mean, we are facing the new world is here, is raising up. You can see BRICS, for example, with the India, Russia, China, Brazil. They are making a kind of big alliance between all of these countries. And now, yes, the world is changing, and it will be a new step in this area and in the history as well, to start making transaction without dollars. But I believe that it cannot be done suddenly. It needs to be made, let's say, progressively, because the economy needs this kind of actions, not a kind of shock. Otherwise, we can have a disaster worldwide. Today, business need stability. Business needs soft actions, and not war, not big actions. But today, I guess, after this war, if we can establish big agreement, it will be good for all parties, even for USA. And this need to be done, and as soon as possible. And I want to only to say something about Israel, for example, and Iran. If we make a comparison between both countries, for example, in 40 years, Iran never make any aggression against any countries. Meanwhile, Israel, from their side, they never respect any agreements. For example, the last one between Lebanon and Israel, when we talk about 1701, and with the let's say with the with two big superpower like France and USA, they said to be the father of this agreement, and yes, Israel will respect it, and Israel never respect that, and France didn't do nothing, and USA either. So for that's why Israel is aggressing all countries, is aggressing Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, Libya, all countries. Even Qatar last time when they bombed Qatar, they don't care. And that's why with Iran, with Iran power
Yes.
in this area, we can stabilize the situation in the region, yes.
Mr. Moran, do you think that the U.S. would be prepared to lift sanctions if Tehran does halt uranium enrichment, or would this be considered a negotiation trap, or is this totally out of the question as a reaction to the Iranian de-dollarization attempt?
I think that if the United States has access to Iran's oil and perhaps make some other deals with Iran, that President Trump will be more than happy to lift sanctions. He's going to require a rigorous surveillance by the United States as well as the international IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency. But I think that may happen. I think they want to bring Iran into the Western world. They want to continue to decapitate its current religious and military leaders. But Iran was already weak before this conflict. And now they basically capitulated to the US and Israel in the interest of survival. I don't know that they had any choice. They believed President Trump's bluster, and maybe it wasn't just bluster. Maybe he was prepared to put an end to the Persian civilization. I doubt that. But the reality is that Iran felt they had no choice but to agree to a ceasefire and to open the strait. I don't think Iran has ever been weaker. Now you'd have to go back to when the British controlled Iran. And so I think that the majority of people who are opposed to the IRGC running the country, this is the time where they may very well be able to take over the country, even though the military has the weaponry. I think there'll be a number of members of the military who realize that they lost this war, but they lost much more. They lost their control over the region. And so this is a pivotal moment in Iranian history, but maybe in terms of the Middle East as well. Yeah, I'll end there. There's much more that can be said, but
yes,
I don't want to.
Well, maybe Israel doesn't think that Iran has lost so much. I mean, Israeli critics are responding to this ceasefire by calling it a total political and strategic failure. How do you respond to that? I mean, they're thinking it's a political and strategic failure for U.S. allies.
That's pure performative politics. They don't necessarily mean that. They're just saying that because they're in the opposition to Mr. Netanyahu. I'm not a fan of Mr. Netanyahu, but the reality is this is a triumphal day for him. I think that the right wing, the extreme Zionist element of the Israeli government will never be satisfied until they control all of the Middle East. That's nuts, of course, but they're extremists. They don't think in a rational manner. So I'm not surprised that there is there is criticism from some parts of Mr. Netanyahu. But the reality is this is going to be welcomed by the majority of Israelis. It's welcomed by the region. It's certainly welcomed by the United States, most people in Europe. Russia was the only winner in the conflict, with the possible exception of China. China was really not hurt by the conflict, and now they are helped. So China is stronger, the United States is much stronger, and Israel is stronger. And I think most Israelis are going to recognize that. So this is a big day in the history of the Middle East. And I think the Persian Empire is going to have to regather. And I think you're going to see some civilian leadership emerging that's much more moderate and willing to work with the United States. So in answer to your question, I think if that happens, certainly all the sanctions will be lifted and Iran's economy will become much more integrated into the world economy, and the IRGC will lose their economic foundation, where they controlled almost half of the revenue from oil. I think the IRGC will never be as strong as it was before last night.
Mr. Zariq, regarding the domestic Iranian layout, there is some sort of an internal Iranian division between diplomats and military factions. How do you think this would affect the implementation of the ceasefire?
Well, in Iran, I don't believe that in Iran we have a big division. Yes, maybe we have different opinions. It could be possible between politics and let's say military factions, or let's say side. But for that, they can discuss internally, and we saw, and during this war, we have had, let's say, all people behind. The government, they also were supporting the government, they were supporting the army, and even politics was in phase with the military as well. Organization there. I believe, yes, maybe we can have something, but I don't believe that we will have big division between them. I don't believe in, let's say, in any collapse into Iran. Today, Iran, let's say, has been empowered by this and not weak. Yes, they lost a lot of infrastructure. Yes, they have been bumped. Yes, this I believe in that, but when you see the result after that, today everybody is recognized the place of Iran, recognized the full control of state of horns for the first time in the history on this area. I mean, yes. Why we have to say that Iran has lost anything? I believe yes, Iran has got several damage into the infrastructure, even for some industries and say bridges and so on, but even for that is not let's say indication of any capitulation. Today, Iran will have for the first time the full control of Hormuz Strait and will get money from that with Oman, and this is a big loss for USA, and U.S. forces from this area will leave the area. I don't know when, but very, I mean, in the near future. And this is the first time since decades we have this situation. I don't know how, for example, when you say that Israel is, let's say, has been triumphant during this war, I don't believe with more than 6,000 or 7,000 buildings destroyed completely, with this several military, let's say, airport has been destroyed, a lot of infrastructure destroyed in Israel. Israel is a small country if you compare this to Iran. Iran is a big continent, not like Israel. It's very small, and for that, and even when you see Israel has been against war since the 7th of October until now, 2023, and this is very tiring for the people. And when Netanyahu promised to his people that yes, we will extend our country to have full control on this area, he lost it. Never.
Yes.
He cannot have this control anymore. And even for South Lebanon, he cannot take it again.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. James Moran, the former U.S. Congressman, and Mr. Adi Zriq, the political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you both for your insights and joining us here in the special coverage on the situation. Ladies and gentlemen, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said that he followed early this morning the announcement of a ceasefire agreement between the United States of America and Iran, calling the news a source of great relief for millions of peace-loving people worldwide. President al-Sisi says he prayed that this positive step would lead to a permanent agreement to end the conflict, restore security and stability, and fulfill the aspirations of the region's peoples for development, progress, and prosperity. President al-Sisi reaffirmed Egypt's full and unconditional support for the sister countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, as well as for Jordan and Iraq, emphasizing that any forthcoming agreement must consider their legitimate security concerns. He praised U.S. President Donald Trump for heeding the voice of reason and upholding humanity and peace, calling on all parties to engage seriously in negotiations to achieve lasting peace and coexistence. President al-Sisi underscored that Egypt, its leadership, government, and people will continue to support the security, stability and prosperity of its Gulf neighbors, Jordan and Iraq, and reaffirmed his commitment to exert every effort to end conflicts and establish a just and comprehensive peace across the region and the world. This fragile truce brings hope, yet Lebanon's exclusion and Tehran's divisions keep the region on edge. As the Strait of Hormuz reopens and talks begin in Islamabad, the world wonders, is this peace or just a pause? We will be continuing tracking this evolving crisis. I'm Henny Saif. Stay tuned for more here on Q News. Thank you for joining us.